Well, hello everybody, Pastor Randy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. It is a beautiful Tuesday and the fall weather is really setting in. It's a little cloudy and a little fall-like and the temperatures are getting cooler. I love this time of year. It really kind of just, it's comforting. I don't know, you can just kind of embrace the, not only the change in the weather and whatever, but there's just something about the atmosphere that's a little bit different. Maybe that's just me, but I definitely have an affection for the fall season. Friends, we've been talking about the seriousness of hell. Indeed, not to continue on with just that one word, but it is serious. And so the tone of what we've been talking about has indeed been a serious one. It's not one of mockery or one that's making light of anything, because we're talking about eternity apart from God and how that comes to be, how that can be, whether from a justifiable way or from a results way. The one thing that I want to make abundantly clear is this is not about God being mean. This is not about God not having love. You see, we have to sometimes back up a little bit, and that's why we take our time here at Making It Simple. Understanding, again, yesterday we talked about in the beginning, everything starts there. Without question, everything starts there. When we begin to understand the enormity of eternity and realize that we were created to be eternal beings, to be with God forever. However, after the fall, the option, the opportunity, if you will, to reject that has been there. Once the great fall that took place, once the deception of the enemy that took place was embraced and received, and therefore the understanding of, oh, well, I can do whatever I want, which was always an option, but without taking of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Adam and Eve really didn't see the need for that, so they were very content with what they'd been blessed with. But once that came and once that has happened, then obviously as time has gone by, we see the result of I can do whatever I want. Here's the problem with that. You can still do whatever you want, but there's a price tag attached. There's a consequence, if you will. We have that in natural law, friends, in natural law. Even if someone's saying, well, I don't believe in it, you don't have to, okay? Natural law, certain things happen. If you go, and you can get close enough, and you grab a tiger by the tail, not the Buck Owens song, but he's going to hurt you, okay? Because nature says we're not compatible. We're not going to be friends at this very moment because of the enmity, the Bible uses that word, that has been placed between, nature. We have that divide. So natural law says that fire is hot. If I put my hand in it, I'm going to get burned. And we could go through with a ton of things. So the idea that I can do whatever I want, I can jump off this building that I'm sitting in, but gravity works. Therefore, I'm going to hit the ground and I'm going to get hurt. Broken leg, broken arm, whatever the case. Maybe even death, depending on how high it is. So the idea that I can live my life in whatever manner I want to and not have a consequence for that at the end, well, that's just foolish. Because if we demand justice on this side of eternity, what in the world would make us think that there's not the same on the other side? If it was merely a situation of being born, living and dying, and whatever you did in between ended at that death, then one would be able to actually legitimately question the idea of God. Because a holy God, a just God, could not allow for that to be the case. Because the rebellious nature against what it is that he's offered, against what it is that he's given us the opportunity to have, there has to be another side to that. There just simply has to be. So it's a yes and no kind of a thing. Here's the offer. You can have this. If you say no, here's the alternative. Being lost. That's a word that obviously is found within the confines of teaching in the church. But what does that mean? Okay, being lost. Okay, we equate that with not knowing where we are. Through the woods or down this road that I've been in. I'm lost. I don't know where I'm at. Here's what's worse: not knowing where I'm going. Being lost. In the sense of, I don't know God. I've never accepted Christ. I've never come to that understanding. Being lost for eternity. And understanding that the separation that causes, the divide that causes, the inability that causes for me to be with God, not because God didn't offer the opportunity, but because I said no. It's no different than you receiving an invitation. Okay, we get them all the time, whether it's to go to lunch or come to an event or a party or whatever the case. We have that invitation sent to us in the mail, handed to us at the office, personally invited, whatever. We could use all kinds of different connotations of that. Once we receive that invitation, whose responsibility is it at that point? Yours, mine, to say yes, I'm going, or no. If I say yes, I'm going, then I've got the directions of how to get there, where this event is going to be, what's the expectation, what am I supposed to wear, what am I supposed to bring, on so on and so. I've got that. I've got all that. Or I can say, nah, I'm not going to do that, and you throw it in the trash. I don't want to go do that. I don't want to drive that far. I don't care for that kind of, whatever the case. So the opportunity is there. The same holds true for eternity. See, sin, as we, in our teaching series on what is sin, we realize very, very quickly as we go through from the beginning, of how that came to be, and on through, at the cost of that, we realize that no one's exempt. Romans is very, very clear about that. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. What is the wages of that? What do we earn from that? Death. Death, as life ceases, as the breath in this body no longer works. Well, that's appointed, as according to the book of Hebrews, once to die in the physical. But then the judgment. What did I do with the gift of life that God gave me? Did I use it to glorify Him, or did I use it to glorify me? Did I follow Him? Did I receive His invitation and follow with those instructions and go the way that He asked? Or did I discard that and say, nope, I'm going to do it my way? Because there's a different result. You either go to the event or you don't. And that's not mean or cruel. If I gave you the opportunity and you said no, then I'm under no obligation to let you in. Does that make sense? Think about it, friends. We think about logic all the time, okay? Sin causes this divide. And in God's mercy, even though Scripture says that He is unwilling, He has no desire that any should perish, one who says no, one who says, I'm not coming, I don't want to be there, I don't believe that, I reject that, on so and on so, well, he can't continue to extend that invitation. In other words, the door's not going to be open. Because if you don't want to be here, why would I Why would I have you here? Because you wouldn't appreciate and enjoy what it is that's being offered. In fact, you may bring your discontent and your negativity and pessimism and everything else into what's being offered to all of those who do want it and rob them of that joy. The perfection that we're told that eternity is with God in a place called heaven is just that. It is absent of death. It is absent of sin. It is absence of sadness and all these things like that. God can't violate that. He won't violate that because that has been the promise that he's offered. And it tells us clearly in the book of Revelation that it will be a day where there is no more sorrow, no more death, no more any of those things. And to violate that would cause God to have given us a lie. To where we're having, the greatest thing ever, and all of a sudden, well, here comes Sally Sourpuss that, hated you her whole entire life, called you every name in the book, and, but she didn't have anywhere else to go, so she just finally said, oh, well, I guess I'll go over there anyhow. But never having accepted, she had received, but never accepted the invitation. I don't want to drone on about this or get us off of point, but today, in this lesson today, what I want us to understand is hell is not because of an unmerciful God. Hell is not because of an unloving God, but rather it's the consequence of saying no. Everything has a consequence. Everything. It's just like me producing this video. I try to do this Monday through Thursday every week. I produce it, I put it together, edit it, do whatever, all the different stuff, and put it out there. You or whoever has the opportunity to listen to it or not. The opportunity is there to listen, to learn, to whatever the case. It's no different than what God has given us. God has given us the opportunity to listen, to learn, and to accept the invitation that he's given us through the person of Christ. We have the option of saying no. And that's fine. We can do that. The option of saying no, though, tells me then I don't get what you offer. And rightfully so, because I rejected it and I said no. So God is under no obligation whatsoever to continue on. Now, if you come back and say, I was wrong, obviously that door opens up very, very quickly. But if we, as Jesus would say, die in that sin, and the sin being the sin of rejection, not just the moral naughtiness, but in the continuation of saying no, then that death is twofold, physical and spiritual, because you don't get to be where he's at. And that's not God being mean. That's not an unmerciful God. That is a God who is just. If you don't want to be here, then you don't have to. We'll pick back up on this tomorrow as we look a little deeper into the seriousness of hell and why this matters and why it's not being taught. Because there is a consequence, and we've lost that. We've lost that in our teachings today, not just within the confines of the church, but within the world. Even within the secular world, we're saying, just do whatever you want. And there's, just do whatever you want. But no one talks about the cost. And the cost is enormous. God bless you, friends. Lord willing, I'll see you tomorrow.